Chapter 5. Time, Your Greatest Commodity. If you would fall in love with the things you need to do to become a success, not only would you win faster, but the journey would be just as much the reward. Never forget the big stuff. The secret to conquering the big things is to make them into little things. You have heard the saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The psychology most people have is they leave the grandiose things for some time in the future when they have time for it. Who has time to write a book, or travel, or learn to fly a plane? Prioritizing the big things is a mindset of the achievers. Once you begin to believe you can remove all the distractions, it is amazing how fast your large dreams become a reality. The simple tricks in the next section might seem a bit overwhelming to some because it's very linear and process-based, but it's also very simple if you will stay with it. I guarantee it will be worth your time to master. Monkey buttons. Now, I don't know if this story is true or not, but it makes for a great example. Back in the days of animal testing and experimentation in the 1950s, they conducted tests on monkeys' brain functions. The scientists would hook up electrodes directly into the pleasure centers of the monkeys and wire them to a big red button on the side of the cage. On the other side of the cage, just a few feet away, food and water were provided. Each time the monkeys would push the red button, their entire being would flood with the feelings of pleasure and euphoria. In a very short amount of time, every monkey died of starvation. In a pleasure-centered society, we are not too far off from those monkeys in some places. You can see people dying as they exchange truth for pleasure. Now, we don't have to be completely addicted to pleasure to see the negative consequences. For instance, our children's addiction to gaming, young people addicted to drama, or adults addicted to urgency and entertainment. Anything that is not adding to your life is stealing from it. The very word entertainment has the connotation of detained from entering. Empty events steal our most precious of commodities, time and momentum. This is a horrible thing. One of the ways we focus on removing the monkey buttons from our lives is to first recognize the things we don't need and the things that distract. Then make a conscious effort to stop participating in them. The greatest of achievers in all areas don't have any more time than the rest of the world. They just stop wasting their time on addictions and pleasure. Delayed reply, the pause. Well, what is the point of living if we can't have any fun? I'm glad you asked. Here's a higher life principle called delayed reply. There is this beautiful place that only humans have compared to all other animals on the earth. It is a conscious space between stimulus and response. The more enlightened we are, and the more fruit-filled we are in life, is determined mostly by how we master this space. We already know that those who are quick to anger have few trusted relationships. Those who are quick to eat are unhealthy. Those who do not take time to rest are dying of stress. There is a place in your life to increase that space and to fill it with the things found in the spiritual disciplines, such as fasting, prayer, and meditation. You will notice I did not say fill that space with prayer and meditation, but rather the things found from prayer. Religiosity is not truth, and the actions of a religious heart are of no value if they do not produce fruit and truth. When my kids were growing up, they asked me why we prayed before we ate. Though there are many reasons, the primary reply was, we are not like the animals of the earth, whereby they see food and eat it. We are higher forms of creation, who pause in the moment and leave space for the divine to make our mundane moments holy. Our training with this book and with the Dream Planner workbook has you pause often and evaluate your moments. Put your brain in the process and decide consciously what you want to do with the time you have left. It is after we decide what is best for ourselves and our dreams that we make room for recreation and making memories with our chosen friends and family. Then our times of refreshing are full and rewarding. They are not encumbered with guilt or debt or the negativity of addictions and unhealthy choices. People who allow their appetites and base desires to rule their lives are debased and unable to maintain productive lives. The quality of the relationships and businesses are unfruitful. We who strive for excellence, quality, and fruit that remains must be disciplined in our choices. Therein is found stability, joy, and happiness. Habits. The greatest of success and the greatest of failures can be attributed to habit. People who have bad paradigms, listen to the negative internal voices, or side with limiting beliefs will be held back from dreaming and doing. A proper balance and focus will give you more time to do the things that bring you lasting happiness and success. Winning your days. Spend your days, don't waste them. The most valuable commodity you have is your time. One of the coolest little tricks we added to the Dream Planner was the pause you are forced to make at the beginning of each week to write in the day, number, and the focus of that day. Those who win their moments and rule their days have the fullest life and the most success. Making yourself do these two things every single day helps habit this success mindset. 1. I will never have this day, this opportunity, this 24 hours ever again. Don't waste it. 2. What is my focus today? What will I not let life distract me from achieving? It is so easy to let the short-term tasks make us forget about these habits. Rule your days and you will rule your destiny. Prioritize everything. It seems as if most individuals live by the seat of their pants, doing what is expected or crying for the most attention. It is the reason why people put off things that are the most valuable and spend most of their time on the urgencies of life. Everything in your life should fit on a scale of importance. If you don't actually make yourself define the purpose and importance of your tasks, you will, like most people, be running around for years dealing only with the urgent and the unimportant. You will find at the bottom of the Dream Planner workbook and in the outline video training how to define and refine a numbering system that you can easily incorporate into your daily decisions. Every time you devise a plan, build a task, or set a goal, you will add the item to your weekly list. You will then place a number 1, 2, or 3 next to each item. If some of your items are number 1, you move those to your daily regimen and get them done. If you still have time during the week, add the number 2 items to your task. If there are items that are marked 3, mark them off and don't even bother with them. Changing your mind about time management. Here's a great saying for you to add to your mindset. Don't put off until tomorrow what you can put off until next week. Even better, the saying could be, don't put off until tomorrow what you can delegate or put off forever. So many people are doing things that other people can and should do, or are doing things that are not really important. Somewhere in their mind, unwanted items got put on the list. Don't be blinded by yesterday's dream. Dreaming allows you to break free from yesterday's story. It is the human condition to always be filtering our days and our events by our past experiences. While this is normal and natural way to learn and progress through life, it is also a bad habit if you want to see significant change or dynamic personal growth. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. Albert Einstein. If we continue to get into the habit of seeing our life, our obstacles, and our future from new eyes, we will gain the ability to not be blinded by yesterday's story. It is possible to be blinded by any type of story, including failure and success. I was doing a joint venture with a man who we'll call Henry. Henry had a very successful graphics company. Not only was he making money, people all over the country would come to him for advice, suggestions in technique, equipment, process. He was at the top of his game. Then 1985 happened. It was the birth of the personal computer that started popping up on desktops everywhere, and the advent of personal publishing had begun. I remember the day I told Henry, you should begin thinking about publishing services to this new world of computing, because it's not going to be long before people are typesetting their newsletters and typing their books on personal computers. If you don't adapt to the new technology, you will become a dinosaur. Henry didn't change fast enough. He held to his idea that he was providing a service that people would never be able to emulate. His emotional and financial commitment to his current business design would not allow him to see the obvious future. By the time Henry figured it out, he lost half of his customers, half of his employees, and was now in a race to catch up with technology. I left that venture 30 days after my conversation with Henry and built one of the largest sign and graphic companies in the state of Oklahoma. I left with the premise that people would begin bringing me their design creations to fix, render, and publish in whatever media they desired. Seeing the rapid move to cheaper and cheaper self-publishing options, I sold the sign and graphic company 5 years later. Don't let yesterday's story tell you how to write today's. Ping pongs. One of the most prevalent deterrents of focus and success is what I call the ping pong ball. Here's an example of the story of a ping pong ball experience. While you are reversing out of the driveway and headed off to work, you take notice that the grass needs to be mowed. Then a slightly stressful thought pings into your mind. I need to get that grass cut. Knowing you can't take care of the lawn at that very moment, you push the thought to the back of your mind. The unseen consequences and problem of this ping pong thought is that it has just caused an emotional turn in your heart and mind and caused you to be distracted with a negative emotion or idea. Now, if that was your only ping pong thought, you'd be fine. But for most people, it is one of 100 or 1,000 thoughts that begin happening throughout their day. Thought after thought, all day long, all week long, coming to the forefront of your memory, only to be unresolved and forced back to the abyss until that thought ping-pongs back to the front of your mind again. Highly successful people cannot live in a pool of ping-pong balls. They will surely drown. You must master the art of killing the ping. So returning home from a long day at work and getting dark, the grass still needs to be cut, and you re-added the thought into a full day of thoughts. Now you have filled your mind with an entire day of unresolved thoughts of the taxes, the dentist, the car repair, the asking for a raise, the not enough time to spend with the kids, the spouse needs, the book I promised I would write, on and on and on. Now these ping-pongs are just your task list and are not added to the frustrations of unresolved conflicts and regrets in relationships. I'll reserve that talk for a different book. A classic book on this subject, Think and Grow Rich, addresses the way a man thinks is the direction of his life. The author admittedly looks at the concept from the Bible, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, Proverbs chapter 23. But no matter where you get the principle, you must take control of your internal conversation and develop habit to kill ping-pong thoughts in your life. I have made it very simple and very practical to kill the pings every single day. In your weekly list, before you do any scheduling, you'll write down your ping-pong thoughts on your worksheet under a list called ping-pongs. This list helps you sort the thoughts that are continually reminding yourself and putting them as priority in your schedule. The moment you schedule a thought and commit a time for the grass to be mowed on Friday night, you go through the rest of your week without being frustrated as you pass the unmowed grass all week long. You will find that if you remove all the things in your life that are have to or should do, you will be far less stressed and you will be left with more creative energy, and thinking will now occupy your mind.